Hello everybody, my name is Estrangeli and welcome to another video. I know that I'm not a movie review channel, but I have seen a lot of movie review channels do their top 10 favorite and top 10 least favorite movies of 2015, and I thought I'd join in because I love movies and I saw 248 movies last year. So I'm going to go ahead and give you my top 5 of my favorite movies and least favorite. Just disclaimer, none of these are in any specific order. I just picked 5 and went with it. Number 1 is The Martian. And the reason why I picked The Martian is because it's an amazingly well done movie, an incredible cast with Matt Damon as sort of like the lead, and it's surprisingly funny and uplifting. The second one I have on my list is Ex Machina. Ex Machina kind of came out of nowhere. I was not expecting a movie sort of like with that sort of, you know, low marketing and to come into my theater, and so when it did, I finally went and watched it, and I loved it. It's a beautifully well done movie, and it has a really cool commentary on like what is love and what are emotions and what is trust and what is it worth, and what does sort of our humanity mean to us in a kind of cool way. This one might surprise a couple of you, and it's definitely not on anyone else's list, but Straight Outta Compton. I loved Straight Outta Compton. It is a fantastic movie, pseudo-biopic, with an amazing cast. All the actors were incredible, and they looked like how those guys looked back in the day. And it was just such an incredibly well done movie, and I would love to see it get nominated for maybe an Oscar. Next one, It Follows. It Follows, again, like Ex Machina, kind of came out of nowhere for me. I was not expecting it, and when it came into my theater, I was so pleasantly surprised. It is one of my favorite movies, period. It's one of the best horror movies I've ever seen in my entire life. And a lot of people, other reviewers, have considered it to be one of the best horror movies of all time. So I definitely am not in the minority here, but it's just like so wonderfully acted. All the cinematography is just so cool. It's so scary, and the soundtrack is just like off the charts. It's incredible. And finally, for my good movies, Mad Max Fury Road. Mad Max Fury Road, while the plot is a little bit thin, it's one of the best and most gritty and realistic and coolest action movies I've ever seen. The whole movie is basically just one long action sequence, but that's not a bad thing. It's everything you see is, I mean, and I know this from, from what we've seen with set photos and behind the scenes videos, but all that was real. I mean, there's a couple parts that, the CGI, like the giant tusk tornado, but like the explosions, the car flips, the stunts, everything was real, and that was so cool to see. Now for my top 5 worst movies this year, and 1 or 2 of these might surprise you as well. The first one on my list is Alvin and the Chipmunks Road Trip. The reason why I picked this one is because it is one of the most jagged and disconnected sort of like amalgamation of CGI and live action. Like, it's so clear that they're looking at a tennis ball, that the director is holding, or it just seems like everything's happening around them, and then they just added in CGI on top of that. Like, it just seems so bland and fake and just like not worth watching. It's bad. The next one is Black Hat. Black Hat had potential because it was a hacker-based action thriller, but it was just so bad. It was incredibly boring, and to be honest, it was just like, what are we looking at? Like, it was not well directed. All the action is really jaggedy. It was the sound design. It was the first time I had ever really critical about the sound design, because like the explosions and the gunshots were so loud that it literally hurt my ears in the theater. And like there was like the dubbing over people's mouths, like there was like some voiceover work done, and it was so obvious, and like in the middle of sentences their volume would change, and like it was just poorly edited, poorly acted, poorly directed. It was just bad. The next one on my list is the Divergent series, Insurgent. The reason why I picked Insurgent was because, and I have to disclaim here that I haven't seen Divergent, like the first of the series, but walking into it and seeing it, it was like all of the characters were extremely unlikable. Their acting was so wooden, and like it was just physically hard to watch. Like I felt weight watching it, but not in a way that's like good. Like it was just like painful. Like I couldn't enjoy it. Like it was just bad. The next movie, which is another movie that might surprise you, is The Longest Ride. The Longest Ride was another movie that didn't come out of nowhere, but was sort of like, why? Because I mean, we've seen what Nicholas Sparks has done in the past with Dear John and stuff like that, and so it was like, why is another Nicholas Sparks book being adapted? And I went into it with kind of mixed feelings. I liked Scott Eastwood before I went and saw that movie, and then seeing the movie I was like, you could probably look and see the the look of disgust on my face and probably understand. The whole main plot of the movie was just so boring and so cliche and just was so like out of their hat. Like it just didn't make any sense. There was parts of it that were just like huge plot holes that they never plugged up, and the B plot with like the subplot with the old World War II vet that they saved and like were reading her letters was an infinitely more interesting love story than the one that they were actually focusing on. And it was a useless movie. It didn't need to exist. And finally for my list is Gallows. Not The Gallows, which I've been calling it, but just Gallows. This is the most non-scary horror movie I've ever seen in my entire life. It was so bland and so dull, and all of the characters were so unlikable. Like they purposely made them unlikable to the point where it didn't make any sense, because like it's a found footage movie, but the main character didn't show any sort of like artistic tendencies. In fact, he was like a hateful jock. Like he didn't show any sort of like tendencies. Like there had no reason why he was carrying that camera other than it's a movie. And the villain is like the kind of like Scarecrow-esque executioner type guy is like the most uninteresting looking, bland dude, and you see him for like a whole 2 seconds in the whole movie. At least you just see his face for like a whole 2 seconds of the movie, and the twist was so boring. Spoilers for Gallows, but the girl who's in the play is like the daughter of the girlfriend of the guy who dies in the play, and like they had to like complete this ritual, and it's just like it's so out of left field, and like they were purposely trying to be weird. It didn't work. It was uninteresting, and like it just was bad. So anyways, guys, that's going to be it for this video. Please let me know everything else that you thought about 2015 movies in the comments below. I'm so looking forward to 2016 as a comic book fan, because I know that Batman vs Superman, Deadpool, Captain America Civil War, X-Men Apocalypse, I mean, even on top of that, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, which, like, I didn't watch the first one, but I'm really excited for the second one, and just, like, all these cool movies. Eventually, Rogue One is supposed to come out next year, I think, and just like it's gonna be a fantastic year for movies, guys. So don't miss it. So anyways, I'm gonna go ahead and end this video. So go ahead and give it a thumbs up. If they bring the rating system back, go ahead and give it 5 stars, but they know that they won't. Go ahead and like and subscribe, do all that sort of junk, and I'll talk to you all next time. Bye bye.